You know what? You and I have some workout to do. Where's Patrick?
We are on, so come on down.
Come on down. Oh, can I see where my announcement? Hand me those.
Told everybody last week that the books were $7.
Her book.
Yeah, there's 7.
Oh yeah.
Mine.
Not.
But 8 on it.
Well, that's because that's regular price. Just giving them $1 off.
Good evening, everyone. I think the camera is rolling. So, a couple of announcements. One announcement that I do not want to forget. We have online, well, especially tonight, we have Judah online live, and we have Sherry and Tom in Auburn, California. And they are requesting, and Roseanne has been watching it on the video as well. When we speak, make sure to speak like a rock star, because they're not hearing your wonderful, beautiful answers to the things that we're doing. So they requested that, but then Roseanne came in and said, that's great because I have been listening to it and can't hear you, a lot of the people.
We're going to be reminding you if you're speaking and you're not.
We'll just say rock star and you'll know what we mean. So just a couple of announcements. Yoga Friday here, 9 to 10:15 on Fridays with Malia Reed, who is not only a licensed practitioner, but she's also a licensed yoga instructor. This Friday night, we have Spiritual Cinema, which is Welcome to the Neighborhood, that wonderful, wonderful documentary on Mr. Rogers. And Jeremy and Amy's concert. The one thing that I keep forgetting, well, I think Charles said it this week, but they're bringing 7 band members with them. So it's not just Jeremy and Amy, and not that it couldn't be, it would be lovely. But I keep forgetting that whole thing that they're bringing a whole soul good band with them. So get your tickets, because who wants to pay 20 at the door when you can pay 15 here? Yes, you can do that tonight. And there's a book sale happening over at Melissa and Hey Judah, Hey Sherry and Tom, who's watching tonight, at their house. And it was 8 to 12, but I saw that it changed to 8 to 2. But it's on the flyer that we received from it. But anyway, it's okay. It doesn't matter, because we got books, and they're wonderful books too. Yes, wonderful, wonderful books. Yep. So, and that's at their house, and there's their address is out on the flyer and all over town, so that everybody knows where you live now. I'm kidding. No, it's all good. And then also, who in this room has taken my inner child workshop? I mean, at least one. Can you do me a favor? This is news. I got 1 minute secret news that you're the first to hear of it. But I'm going to actually in December be doing my first webinar for the inner child. So, and that's for our wonderful friends that live on mainland Oregon. And we're going to do a West Coast and an East Coast. So each person gets that opportunity. The reason I'm saying that is because I'd like to do a few testimonials. So anybody, I've got your testimonial, but anyone who's done that, just give me a quick little testimony about how wonderful and fabulous I am, or if you've ever worked with me. And I always think, give me a testimonial, and they'll go, do you want like a really powerful? No, I want you to tell me how it was horrid and you didn't like any of it. No, only if you have something good to say about my inner child work, please do it. Just a couple lines will really help. And I think ooh, look at us, 6:05.
Okay, so we are going to do our meditation after Patrick invokes us in. We're going to do our meditation after Patrick invokes us in, and then I have, after we come out of that, I have a short healing, Joe dispenses healing story, but it's actually a radio interview, which I thought was really fit what we were doing tonight. So we'll listen to that. It's not very long. It's like 7 minutes, and then we will discuss. All right, so are you ready? Yeah, is it hot?
We'll take a little peek, see, because yeah. There's Desiree.
All right. Well, you're just in time.
Perfect timing. Okay, now that Desiree is here, we are complete.
I think it's
And so also, this is Roseanne's first night, so let's welcome Roseanne because she's been watching online up until now. Perfect.
You'll turn it off when I'm ready.
Okay, so, what did you say, Rita?
He's going to turn it off when we're ready.
Oh. when
Don't
they-
turn it on too fast after. Wait till after his treatment. Okay. Okay. You ready?
Not till, when do you want them off? When the thing comes on or no?
No, we can turn them off now.
Okay. I always want to make sure I can be seen. Oh, no, your eyes are closed. No, I'm kidding. So let's just take a moment right here and right now to just settle in. Whatever has happened, all the moments before this divine moment has now just went into the nothingness of where it comes from, because the only moment that matters is this one. So I'm just celebrating us coming together, and I know that whatever needs to be known for this evening is already known. What needs to be said will be said. What needs to be felt, especially what needs to be felt, is felt in this wonderful moment, and it carries on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So I just say thank you for this wonderful group of spiritual beings who have come together, and those that are online, cozy in their wonderful little living rooms or wherever they are, knowing that they are still one with us. So I just celebrate tonight. I let that celebration begin as together we say. And so it is.
Your awareness in the space between your eyes, in space, and can you sense the energy of space between your eyes, in space? And now, can you become aware of the space between your temples, in space? And can you sense the volume of space between your temples, in space? And now, can you become aware of the space that your nostrils occupy, in space? And can you sense the volume of space that the inside of your nose occupies, in space? can you become aware of the space between your tongue and the back of your throat in space? And can you sense the volume of space that the back of your throat occupies in space? And now, can you sense the energy of space around your ears in space? And can you feel the energy of space beyond your ears in space? And can you become aware of the space below your chin in space? And can you feel the volume of space around your neck in space? And now, can you sense the space beyond your chest in space? And can you feel the energy of space around your chest in space? And now, can you become aware of the volume of space beyond your shoulders in space? And can you sense the energy of space around your shoulders in space? And now, can you become aware of the space behind your back in space? And can you feel the energy of space beyond your spine in space? And now, can you rest your awareness in the space between your thighs in space? And can you sense the energy of space connecting your knees in space? And now, can you sense the volume of space around your feet in space? And can you feel the energy of space beyond your feet in space? And can you become aware of the space around your entire body in space? And can you sense the energy of space beyond your body in space? And now, can you become aware of the space between your body and the walls of the room in space? And can you sense the volume of space that the entire room occupies in space? And now, can you become aware of the space that all of space occupies in space? And can you sense the space that all of space takes up in space? And now it's time to become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time. To become pure consciousness. To become an awareness in the infinite field of potentials, and to invest your energy into possibility. And now, if the thought sends the signal out, and the feeling draws the event back to you, I want you to move into a state of gratitude and to give thanks for a new life before it's made manifest. For the emotional signature of gratitude means the event has already happened. And the longer you linger in gratitude, the more you draw your new life to you. For gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And now bring your awareness back to a new body, to a new life. To a whole new future time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
And continuing to stay in this sea of potentiality. Oh, I just bathe in this gratitude. The gratitude for Dr. Joe Dispenza, the gratitude for remembering who and what we are in every moment. And what I know is that this incredible life force is moving through this room and continues to move from moment to moment to moment as we go through all of the wonderful, wonderful infinite intelligence that is shared here tonight by each and every one of us. I remember who I am. I remember who each and every one of us are. And it is from this place forward that we go through this evening of celebration of opening up even more and more to the unlimited potential. And I am so grateful for this coming together in this one consciousness. So I already know that this evening is deemed successful, because that is where each and every one of us is in this very moment. I know that love leads the way, and the law makes it so. As together with gratitude, we say, and so it is.
I'll just take a few moments.
Hey, Charles.
Breathe that
Join
in.
in. Huh? Miss Jai.
How's everybody doing? Yes? Good? Good. So,
Loretta.
last week we spoke about that many people had not heard Joe Dispenza's healing story. So I found a version of it that's a radio interview, and I liked it because it just really fits with what we're talking about tonight, about wholeness and about mental rehearsal and all of that stuff. So it's only 7 minutes. I want us to just listen to it, and then we'll go on. But you won't see him. You'll just hear him, okay?
But you healed your,
Let me go back.
you had an incredibly horrible spinal injury. They were going to put like a metal rod in your back, and you were able to heal that. Now, I listened to an interview that you did about where you were talking about how you were able to heal your spine, and part of it was visualization of how your spine should look. Did you incorporate emotions into that as well? Can you tell us a little bit about what your experience was with that?
Sure. I mean, it was a moment of awakening in my life. I mean, I was in a triathlon and was in the biking portion of a race, and the police officer that was waving me on to make the turn had his back to the oncoming traffic, and so when I made the turn, I just got pretty much blindsided by a four-wheel drive Bronco going 55 miles an hour, and wound up having multiple fractures in my spine with some bone fragments on the cord there, and was facing a pretty rough diagnosis. But it wasn't, I had to make a decision at some point, and it wasn't just that I just thought, oh, well, I'm just going to visualize my spine better, or healthy or perfect. I just had to ask some bigger questions, and I think when we have crisis in our life, when we have difficulties in our life, if we're prudent and we're conscious, I think the first thing we ask is, why did this happen, and is it, how can I change this, or I can't go on business as usual, so I got to become somebody else, or you begin to ask questions, is there more to life, that begin to shatter your old beliefs, because pretty much we go on living our lives in a certain level of comfort until something disrupts that, and crisis is one of the ways that I think that gets people's attention from a cosmic point of view. And so it was just an opportunity for me in my 20s where I had to actually begin to ask some bigger questions. And so the prognosis was really poor at the time. They didn't think I'd be able to walk again. And I just said, I asked myself, what do I know? What do I absolutely know? And the first thought that I had was that the power that made the body heals the body. I just believe in this innate intelligence within every human being that pretty much is the giver of life. That there's an intelligence independent of a culture or a gender or a race or creed that is indigenous to every human being, that keeps our heart beating and digests our food and filters our blood and makes 10 million cells every second and organizes little enzymes through our DNA and keeps things from mutating. And so there's this intelligence, this mind that's so much bigger than us, and that few people ever take the moment to acknowledge it or give thanks to it or to develop a relationship with it. So I went from, being a 24-year-old kid, living in Southern California and having a great life and being really busy and successful to all of a sudden laying face down and not being able to do much. And so I thought, well, listen, I'm not going to let any thought go by that I don't want to experience. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is to see if I can make contact with this intelligence. If it's real, if it's a consciousness, consciousness is awareness, and awareness is noticing. It should be noticing me. So let me just give it a sign. Let me give it some orders. Let me give it a template. Let me give it a plan, a very specific plan of what I want. And then I got to get out of the way, and I got to give it to it, and I got to trust that it's going to do the healing for me. And this process, of course, was over the course of a little bit of time, but I decided, look, I have nothing else to do. I'm nowhere to go now. I can't do anything, and I'm just going to see if I can begin to organize my mind here. And so as I began the process, I became so aware how unfocused my mind really was, because I was feeling pain, and I was scared, and I had a lot of emotions, and my life had changed dramatically in that moment. So it took me a little bit of time to be able to get to the point where I could actually forget about all that stuff and begin to make a very specific picture of what I wanted. And I was basically reconstructing my vertebrae in my mind, one vertebrae at a time. And if I lost my concentration or my focus, I would stop and start all over again, because I didn't want to give anything but a pure signal to this intelligence. So the more I did it, the easier it got. And so after weeks of doing this, I started to notice that when I could get through it, the whole process without any distractions, it was like hitting a tennis ball in a sweet spot. There was a very significant feeling that I became aware of and familiar with. And that feeling was just a really great sense of connectedness. Just like if you hit a tennis ball in a sweet spot, or you hit a golf ball the right way, or you do a round off to a back handspring and you land it right, or you do a dive, or whatever it is that we know from sports, that we swish a basketball, it just feels right, or score a goal in hockey, when you know what's going. There's a feeling that goes along with it. And I just wanted to have that feeling. And so over time, it got easier and easier for me to create this imagery. And then I started thinking about things I wanted to do, and if I was able to walk again. I started to fall in love with going to lunch and watching the sunset, and running again. And I just allowed my mind to just go. And what I didn't know at the time was that if you do that properly, once the thought that you're imaging becomes real, it produces a very, very strong chemical reaction in your body, and the body thinks it's in the experience. And it's that conditioning process, that emotional conditioning process, that begins to send new signals to the body, and new signals to the genes, and new information to the cells. And over time, I just made my way out of it. I was back in my life, I think, in maybe 10 or 11 weeks, 10 and a half, 11 weeks, and back to, doing everything I wanted to do at 12 weeks. And so, and I'm not anybody special. I just didn't have enough. I just couldn't imagine living the rest of my life with rods in my spine and being, addicted to medications. And so I just made myself a deal. I just said, if I was ever able to walk again, I'd spend the rest of my life studying this process. And that's where I've been since then.
What if you could get glowing skin?
What if? If you could get glowing skin. What if I could get glowing skin?
You got it.
I do have glowing skin. 24 years old. I mean, he's 24. My biggest question for him, I don't know about any of you, is that, I understand science of mind and spirit's been talking that since forever, and then they've been talking about that since Plotinus, and before. So, but what made a 24? That's be something I would even research. What made him know to do that? You know what I mean? What made him just go, if I think this over and over again, and I stop and I do that, quite advanced, I guess is the
Right.
word that I'm looking for. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't get the clicker. In all my preparations.
You
Where
want me
is
to
it?
go get it?
No, it's here. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So, does anybody have any comments on that before we go into the, and I'm sure it's going to come up throughout the class, but.
Yeah. We
'Cause
thought it
it'll-
would be, especially with this mental rehearsing, that he talks a lot in the last 2 chapters about mental rehearsing. And it takes a discipline to do that. I mean, we're going to check in about this mental rehearsing. But it's very interesting, right? Because you think, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll just mental rehearse till you go to do it. And then you go, this takes a lot of time to sit here and really mental rehearse this. And then to be disciplined enough to go, I got to go do this, I got to go do that.
So
Yeah.
before I do that, I just want to give these back. So I'm just going to pass them, just take them. There was one that didn't have a name on it. It was this one. Nope. Nobody knows whose it is.
It's okay, we'll pass them all out and then we'll see if somebody didn't get
There
them.
might be somebody that's not here tonight. Okay, it's just pass
yeah.
and find yours if it's, I think I already gave yours. And there were some people's who I didn't get, and I'll discuss that later. But just a couple of comments on that, because it's important. The comments are, please mark your steps when we ask you to do a treatment, so I know that you know which step it is. And please do your what do you call it, your purpose. And that treatment was supposed to be for the successful completion of the class, which a few people did, but others did health or something. And I guess they were thinking that was the successful completion, but it was supposed to actually be for the successful completion of the class. But I think I wrote it on there. Also, when you give gratitude in a spiritual mind treatment, you're giving gratitude for the experience that you're asking, that you're declaring. Because some people go off on gratitude for all different things, but you're actually, if you're declaring health, then you're giving gratitude for your perfect health. So anyway, but if you have more questions about it, I mean, we'll still be doing
Yeah,
spiritual
this is
mind
all
treatment.
fresh and
And
new,
some of
you
you
know,
are
it's-
so like new at it, you didn't know, so
So it's
that's
not
fine.
about a,
But I just want to say that, it is a powerful tool, and it is the healing tool of our philosophy and our teaching and our science. So it can help with all this. It can move the energy. And if we can get into that place that he's talking about, into that quantum field, when we do our treatments, we can do a lot better work because we won't be strapped to the condition. And you get just trained to do that and trained to get into the field quickly without going into a state like this for 44 minutes, to where you can actually just get there and then do your treatment. And then that's awesome. So
and just a note on purpose, the reason purpose is so important is it's your guide to get for the treatment itself. And what happens, I know for myself, that if someone says, oh, Patrick, can you treat for me? Just treat in general. And I don't take a moment to go what I'm really treating about. And that's that this evening is unfolding perfectly and easily. That's what I'm treating for tonight in this spiritual mind treatment. Then I will wander. And then you'll be right in the middle of it and you'll say, and what I know about Afghanistan right now is that everyone is, it starts really running wild, which is not, here's the good news. You can't do anything wrong with spirit. There's no right or wrong, or, spirit doesn't go, oh, if you'd only done step 3, it doesn't, we don't have anything outside. It's just us and our unfolding.
But plus, think about what he just said about he wanted to be perfectly clear with the intelligence.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to be perfectly clear so that we're not giving it mixed messages and all of that. So it's the same thing. And that's why spiritual mind treatment sometimes has to be done more than once. It doesn't necessarily happen the first time, because what are you doing? You're getting yourself out of a consciousness that you have had for a long time, and sometimes it can be instantaneous, and sometimes you need to repeat it for a different reason or whatever. So when people say, oh, it doesn't work, well, I go, we treat until we demonstrate. So we meditate, do what he's doing until we reach the field, right? So anyway, so feedback on mental rehearsal that you did, that I know you all did.
And just a reminder for those who just came in, we had some comments that we need to really speak into the microphone. For Rob, one, and then for the people listening.
Yeah, because they can't hear. So just really put it rock star style.
Yeah, I've been really working on that. Like I really like the meditation.
Yes.
The meditation's really great. In fact, this morning I had enough time to do it twice. When you get to that place where you're nobody, and for me, it's just like the field of possibilities opens up, and then I can really start to affirm what I want to see happen in my day. And a couple things that came up was a couple days ago, I got this email in the evening, or text in the evening that I didn't even want to read because I knew it was going to be really heavy. And so I didn't. And then I did the whole meditation and treated for it and everything the night. And then the next day when I opened it, it was even heavier than I thought, but it didn't throw me off my center. I'm just like, well, that's that person's trip, that's their drama. It's got nothing to do with me. And I was able to just, go through my day. And before this, I would have ruminated about it all day. I would try and fix it. I would try and fix it in my mind. It would ruin my day. So that was great. And then today I knew I was going to have a really busy day because I had a big project going on one of my houses. And so I just treated the day would go perfectly and everything would just unfold in perfect timing and there would be no glitches. And so one of the last things I had to do is go pick up some hardware for at Ace. And I get to the store and I realize, I left all my credit card stuff at my computer because I was buying some stuff online. And I'm like, how much cash do I have? Oh, $3. And I'm like, what I needed, I knew was going to cost about $10. And I was like, do I drive all the way from Ace up to Foodland to get cash? Or I have a check. I have a check from Sue for $30. So maybe they'll cash that for me. And I'm like, I know they won't, but I'm like, I'm going in there. I'm going to buy this stuff. I don't know how. So I go to pay, and I say to the lady, will you cash this third-party check? And she goes, no, you have to take that to the bank. And I'm like, okay. And just then, this guy who works for me, Ron, Ron was at the other cashier and goes, Jai, do you need some money?
I love it.
And he just pulled the cash out of his wallet and gave it to me. And I'm like, okay.
It's called, you don't know how it's going to happen, right?
You took the words out of my mouth. If we would get out of the way and start going, and this is how we're going to do it, and I got to go to the bank, all of a sudden it's like, hi, you need something? And you're like, wow. And you said an important thing. I'm going into this store, and I'm going to get what I want, but I don't have a clue how it's going to happen, but I know I ain't driving back home to get my credit cards. And so because of that, then the universe will unfold and conspire in your favor.
Anybody else?
Mental rehearsal.
Mental rehearsal.
How you guys doing? When I do the mental rehearsal, it takes a lot of work, mostly because I have to be clear on what I want and how I want the day to go. And also the emotions that go with it as well. More, of course, gratitude for it already happening. And I did some things that helped me with the emotional state, but knowing how things were going to happen. But as I see, it really doesn't matter how it happens as long as the end result is there. And opportunities come, and I just, for example, I'll get a call from a referral, and all of a sudden I'll have a new client, and it's not from me knocking on people's doors and offering deals or anything. It's just because of someone that heard of my services. You know what I mean? So it's quite interesting to see the universe conspire for my highest good. It's pretty cool.
Mental rehearsing, I meditate every day, and I do a lot of different Joe Dispenza ones and so forth. And also I journal, and I know that that's part of it too, and this kind of all ties into it. I'm super happy. I'm trying to work on wealth, retirement, and freedom. That's what I'm really working on, my goals. And I was looking for something, and then I went and looked in. I have this money bag that I've put my money in. In fact, we long time ago would keep cash there and stuff, and then now I just keep my European stuff in there. But I was looking for some different documents and things that maybe I put it there. I've been in that bag tons of times, and just for that, I looked in where I used to keep my money. I thought this would be kind of fun if there was money there. There was a lot of money there. There was like $375. I opened this other piece of paper, another $775 right there. I've been saving it for this telescope. I'm going to get my little telescope, do my nephew's 401k type stuff. The cool thing about the journaling, though, is when I keep a dream journal also, and when I do a dream journal, that's when I really get messages. I'll sometimes wake up like, what does I dream about? Then when I start writing it, oh my God, I get the messages. When I was doing my actual journal, when I was writing that story I just told you guys, it made me, I was feeling like I was writing in my dream journal. Seriously. Wow. And then I was getting messages of, what that bag represented, and I was getting messages even after all that.
Wow.
I really feel like I crossed over into, the divine matrix, and
Another dimension.
yeah, another dimension. Yeah, it was really cool. Happy campers.
Wow.
Divine Matrix. Did you have your hand up? And then Chia.
Yeah, so I had a really big breakthrough last week here, and what it really made me realize was that I need to change my self-talk.
Put it up to your mouth.
Oh, that my self-talk had to change, that I was, I would be in situations where I would be annoyed or angry or not feeling good enough, and I realized that I just didn't love myself, that, I didn't want to feel bad about myself, because being annoyed at because I had to deal with someone's bad decision or something that I didn't agree with, I would feel like, oh, I should be a different person, I should be different. And I realized, no, it's okay, I can be annoyed and not agree with something, but it doesn't mean that I don't have to, that I can love myself, And it was like, okay, so reading the chapters and how am I going to, it's a habit, it's ingrained, it's in my chemistry, so I realized, okay, so what can I do? What can I say to myself that can shift this, where I can be grateful? And this is a big thing, it's like, how do you turn an oil tanker at sea? It doesn't just turn on a dime. It's like, so what I came up with is that I am loved and lovable by God. That's like the broadest brush that I can put on myself. And that I just am grateful that I'm loved and lovable, and really feel that. Allow myself to really, truly feel that. And that's just like the beginning. That's like my little baby step in the little kiddie pool.
Well, that's a huge step, Melissa, because that's the starting. Okay, so because that's where you have to start. That's the one step that's going to make the rest of the steps so much easier, because once you know that, and once you feel that, and you commune with the divine like that, then everything's going to be, it's just going to open up. It's going to open up. You don't even have to worry about it. You keep doing that. Just keep doing that. That's great. Thank you.
This is kind of off of Desiree. This morning, I woke up in a dream. I was lucid in the dream, and my solar plexus was really feeling a bunch of junk in it. And a voice, the voice, said, "Take all that stuff to the purple room." Well, I knew exactly where the purple room was because in my meditations with Joe Dispenza, I'm listening to different ones, but on blessing the energy centers, I knew the purple room was my heart because every time I would get to the heart, I would see this beautiful purple color. So while I'm still dreaming, I have a whole bunch of material, which is unconscious program that I had worked on through the night because I woke up sweating and all kinds of stuff happening in the night. I slept 12 hours last night, and I brought it up into the purple room, into my heart, and I had to just keep raising it up and raising it up and raising it up. And then finally it was up enough for me to get up, wake up, and then I went straight to my meditation seat, and I sat down and I put on the blessing of the energy centers, and I worked the whole thing. It takes about 45 minutes, and raised it up and got it through my whole body. And so
That's awesome.
So
Well,
that
that's
was,
like so
I
perfect.
felt
'cause
so excited and so successful.
he says once you can get it there to the heart, then it opens everything else up. So you
Yes.
just proved that. It's, you're coming down from your lower energy centers, but if once you get it there and you can actually feel it, right? Yeah, and you actually feel, the appreciation, the gratitude, the love, and then it opens all the rest up. So, it's great.
I was thinking of the one step, that first step, and it's like in the Indiana Jones. Remember that when he said, it's such a powerful, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. They have a little clip of it, so you don't have to watch the whole movie. But it is just like what Melissa was talking about and what we're all talking about. It's that they hear the voice, which was his father's voice, to say, come on over to me. I need your help, or however, whatever's the reasoning that he has to get over there. But there's this big nothingness. And it says, come. And it's just like you can just see. Harrison Ford did a wonderful, because I just loved his moment of like, he goes, come now. This is your step. And you could just see his face going, shit, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. It's an oil tanker turn around. You got to be kidding me. It says, no. And so he has to take that step. I love that moment. And the moment he goes like this, it does. And then another one comes out for him, and another one. And he goes all the way across. And so I believe that is what we're talking about here, is that the one step goes to the next one. But we have to take that first step. It's like the match program. You give this amount. It's like Foodland in the month of September. I'll tell you something. You give this and we'll match it. And this is what the universe says to us. I tell you what, I'll match anything you give. Oh, yeah, but could you just give it first and then we'll all do some matching? No. Whatever you give, I'll match it. Wow. And that means anything. Anything, I'll match it.
Yeah, I mean, what you're doing, it's scientific. It's like you're giving the direction. I am loved by the universe. I am loved by God. God loves me, or whatever it is you're saying. You're giving that like exact blueprint to it. So it has to come back to you that way. So great.
I had to sing in the backup in this concert on Monday at the Mokihana concert at Waimea, and it was just really, it was all this Hawaiian music. It was wonderful and everything, and then the woman I was backing up for was in this. She wrote this. It was an open category, so she wrote a song about her cat. So it was. I mean, it was really cute, but it was really different than any other song that night. Okay, like really different. And I was wearing a cat outfit, and I mean, it was So I'm thinking, okay, I'm really out of my element here. And I just did it. I feel loved and lovable, and like I just got really, really into that gratitude of that. And it was like, I could do this. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm doing this because I'm a child of God, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Anybody else? Oh, Jai, and then we're going to move on.
Go quick, but right now, like practically as we speak, my 1-year-old granddaughter has been taking her first steps across the room. And for the last 3 weeks, every time I go there, all I do is walk around with her, which she's got holding one finger, like with every breath that she can hold on to, it's like the finger turns blue. And we're just walking everywhere. And, my daughter's like, no, I don't want to walk. Let it go. Don't do it. But she just loves it, what? But she didn't have the confidence to take this first step out into the void. So a couple of days ago, they showed Julie showed the first video of her actually taking like 3 or 4 steps. It was so cute. And then she put a new one on today. It's been, 3-4 days? Arms are flying, legs are going in every direction. It's just so cute. It's just took those steps into the void, and now she's going.
Woohoo.
Mama's got to chase her around. That's why we don't want them to walk.
That's why don't walk too fast.
Okay. So anything that came up that needs clarifying? Anybody that's confused or anything? That's all right. We're learning slowly, little by little. All right. We wanted to go back through these. So Patrick's going to take the first one, and then we're going to go ahead.
So the first core concept that we looked at and observed and did something with is the thing itself, the nature of God and the spiritual universe. This is one cosmic reality principle and presence in the universe, God. All creation originates in this one source. God is all there is. Each of us is God's substance, individually expressed.
So now we just want you to turn to the person next to you, explain what that means in layman's terms. Okay? Because it's a lot of jargon, so just...
Perfect, even.
All right. Where'd she go? Oh, she's going back.
Jai, this was your partner. Oh, she needs a pen. Yeah.
So you can say it in your own words. I got this from Joe Dispenza. Don't tell him though. So we have stop them. One. Yeah, one of them's going to tell us. Okay, so would somebody like to volunteer other than Reverend Diane?
So go ahead.
Or
go ahead.
Roseanne
No.
even, other than Reverend.
It's okay. Just wrap up what you're doing.
Wrap up.
There you go.
Somebody would like to raise their hand and explain what you just explained to each other? All right.
Okay, so just anyone want to explain it? Charles.
What? Oh, needs a microphone.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. What's up, y'all?
All right. All eyes on Charles.
Oh, no. Just we're all God. All of this is like everything that is the universe is made of God, and therefore we're a piece of it. So we're all God.
Sounds good to me. Anybody have a different way of saying it? Ronnie?
Don't know if I have a different way of saying it, just a thought that I had as I was listening. When we try to describe God and we call, or the energy or the consciousness, and we say, it's this, or he's that, or she's that. And I was just thinking about how, I'm friendly with the rabbi on the island, and their word for God is Hashem, meaning no name, that who has no name. And there is, like no matter how hard we try so that we can hold on or grasp, there really is no name that does justice.
And I say that a lot in treatments now, because it has no name, because it is all names. There is not a name that is not attached to spirit. So it has no name. We just happen to call it that way so we can express it, right? But it's absolutely no name, because it's all names.
Okay. Core concept 2, the thing itself, the universal. Okay, God is triune or threefold in nature, having 3 aspects or modes of being within the one: spirit, soul, and body. This is God in macrocosm. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So,
Discuss.
turn to the person next to you and discuss that. Find some words for it. Okay.
There you go. I don't know. It's your
And
your
make sure
pod.
make sure to include what this guys. One thing.
One
make
thing,
sure
you
to
guys.
include what this threefold nature is. All right, like what that means. It's different than the other one because he talks about the visualization.
See, this is really good because this stimulates them. Thank you, Joe.
I know, but the one thing is Joe didn't make them come back with it. You're making them come back with it. Okay, somebody.
We're looking for 2 things here in this one. We're looking for something in your own words about the triune, and then we're going to look for the microcosm and the macrocosm. And we're going to go here.
Oh, good. We got somebody different.
For me, all that is expressing infinitely, unfolding itself in, through, as all things, has 3 ways of being itself. One is the all that isness in its resting or creative state, infinitely unfolding itself, and that we might call spirit. But then what I've seen, what works for me, is to recognize that spirit then having an intention to create forms like a ray, like divine sun or divine light. And the ray is what I would call the soul. It's like the intention of the divine to manifest as something, and the tip of that flame is form. So I'm the tip of the flame of a ray of the divine that has an intention, is manifesting way more than me, but I'm that tip. So the tip is the form, the ray is the soul or the intention of all that is, and then the all that isness.
That was very poetic.
Great visual.
Yeah, very poetic.
Yep.
Okay.
Great visual.
To me, the triune is actually the metaphysical chart, yeah. It's the conscious mind, the universe, and then it goes into the soul, which is really the subjective mind. It is the where one creates the intention, as you say, and then the body is the what we manifest, whatever it is that we manifest. So to me, that one is what I see in the metaphysical chart. Now, I may be wrong, but
No,
that's
no,
my
that
that's
is.
my vision.
It is the creative medium. It is.
There is no wrong. Is somebody over here? Because we still haven't discussed what the microcosm of the macrocosm, which I know that you want.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, we live in a seemingly, in seeming polarity, but everything, you can't have two without the third. So it's like you have daylight and nighttime, but then you have the dawn or the twilight. There's always the transition. And if you look at an atom, it's made out of, you know, 3 elements, you know, positive, negative, neutral. So there's always 3. And yeah, and in terms of the macrocosm and the microcosm, I mean, it's like we are, when you think of we've got trillions of cells in our body, we're like the cells of God. I mean, we're just, it's the microcosm of the macrocosm.
Right. We're identical in a microcosm. Yeah. Was there somebody? Loretta. Oh, good, Loretta.
Just a clarifying question, maybe. Is this something, because I'm a little bit lost with this. Is it like me being a drop of water in the ocean we're all part of?
Yeah,
it?
but you're the ocean in a drop. Think of it more that way. Okay? The whole ocean
okay.
is within you. Okay? Just like the whole ocean is in the wave. I think it's Rumi that said we're the ocean in a drop.
And which is
right?
great because we go
Not a drop in-
naturally. It's kind of like I'm the child and then there's the, or I'm the drop and then I go into that. But in reality, when we think, you know, as Joe Dispenza was saying, thinking bigger, when I thought bigger that I am the ocean. And you can divide me up, you can take me apart, you can do whatever you want, but you can never separate me, ever. You can take the drop out of the ocean, walk away with it, and you've got the entire ocean in your hand. I mean, it just gives me chills to think that. You know what I mean? God bumps, as I like to call them.
Do you have anything to add? Just because we have another minister in the room. I don't want to shut you up because you're.
That's so funny. I was just thinking that too. I was thinking, what? Don't tell them they can't speak. No. Yes, I know what you're doing.
My concept of the triune nature of God is like a state. It's like a state of being, as water can be ice as body, water can be steam as spirit, or it can be in transition. You know, it can be water, it can be steam, it can be ice, and it's still water. Those are all states of being and expressing the one thing. The microcosm of the macrocosm, I think of as very closely aligned with core concept 1, in that we are an individualized expression of the macrocosm. We are expressing it in a smaller way, hence the word micro rather than macro, meaning all of it. Do you have another idea about that?
I don't want to use the word smaller, only because, like, it's like some of you in your treatments use the word part of. It's all there, where the whole of the universe appears everywhere in its wholeness. So what are we? So when we have all of this, right? Our individualized expression is our use of it, right? We talked about that. It's our use of it is how we individualize, but it's all available to us. So so maybe I didn't understand what you were saying. But.
Well, what I would be confused about then is why did he choose those words? Why are we the microcosm and God is the macrocosm?
Because God is everything, and we're individualizing it, expressing it, I guess is the way I understood it. But I know it's like, yeah.
But neither is small or large. Yes, but when I use it, it's just as big as anything in me, right? So that's the reason why we can't really compare small to a large, even though it's micro and macro.
And to me, micro means how we're using it. And how much of it are we using? So, yeah. Because we're never going to use it up. So maybe that's why it's called the macronism. We're never going to use it. we're never going to use it. We can't absorb it or anything, but thank you. It's all good.
And also,
Roseanne?
he's using it as a teaching.
No, all right. I just want to take advantage
He's
of my
also using it as a teaching tool. That there's something bigger, because if we start, look how this is what just my little download. Just think of how hard it is for us to get our self-worth where it needs to be to begin with. So I think we start out thinking the microcosm or the drop in the ocean, because that's where we're kind of at times. And so the macrocosm is what we are, and the microcosm is what but people are a part of. But I think people want to use, in baby steps when they're thinking, because the other part of it is that I am God is the best way I know to do any of this, to find the name I am that I am. That's why I like I am that I am even more than I am God, because I am that I am. There's nothing that God has that is not what Patrick has or any of you have.
Okay, Adara, then we're going to move on.
Well, the other thing that just occurred to me listening to Patrick is that as the microcosm, if I identify with the tip of the flame as body, then I'm trapped in the little microcosm. But we all know, and we know mystics and saints and great beings who have shifted out of body, even bigger and bigger bodies, to shift their awareness into a present moment awareness of themselves as all that is. So we are all capable, even though we may be expressing as a tip of a flame that looks like a body, we have the capability of moving our awareness into the vast field itself and being that. Yeah. Yes, Lori.
Sure. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Some of this is really heady for me.
I know, it is. It's very heady.
And I'm just trying to wrap my head around, my treatment, all that, and just getting it down. But I have to put it in really practical terms. So this week I was having a conversation with my mom. She's one of the
Keep the microphone up to your mouth.
It's one of the things I need to work on, want to heal. And I was in the car coming home from work listening to her, and she's really challenging for me. And I heard your voice say, I am God. So I just kind of removed myself a little bit and got in that space where, okay, God's not going to get triggered by her. He's not going to, feel like this in her body, whatever. And so I did that, and it really shifted something in me. So that's how I kind of need help working on this stuff, just in my day-to-day life with people
awesome.
around me, and so that I can just love her and accept her and just enjoy her.
Well, that's the whole point. You learn a concept, and then you have to put it to practice, because until you put it to practice, you can't embody it. You can't embody it. So that's great, Lori. That's awesome.
I heard your voice, I thought, just try it. Just try it.
And then the next step is to go, she's God too. Oh, my.
It's okay, Lori. Let's start at the very beginning.
So just quickly, as we were talking through all this, I kind of saw the macrocosm as the quantum field, unlimited, completely without limit. And the microcosm is what I'm capable of taking in at this point in my life.
Right. It's your use of it. That's good. That's great. All right.
That's good stuff, you guys.
This is this week's core concept, and it's a lot of words. Okay. Spirit is the great causative power of the universe. The word or thought of God eternally initiates the divine creative process.
Yes.
In this process, law is continuously setting in motion to create from the unformed substance innumerable forms following the thought patterns of spirit. Therefore, this is the way it works. Since we are merged with universal at the subjective level, all human thought is creative and reenacts in microcosm the divine creative process. Our individuality is our use of the universal, which is what we were just saying. So anyway, talk to each other again.
Well, before you talk, I want to go back to what Lori said. You're very blessed here because we have a lot of different approaches to it, and I am that practical person as well. I am that I call it, has anybody ever seen the movie Dave? Yeah, Dave, the guy ends up the president, doesn't know, but he does a better job, which isn't, that's a whole nother subject. But that's how I am, because I use just logic, spiritual, like, well, that makes sense. I'm God. That would, okay, let's just do that. And then start, so I understand the practical approach, and sometimes it feels like a lot of words, which it is, but if you'll see that this is pretty much what we've just been talking about in core concept 1 and 2. So
There's
now,
one thing added to it.
So talk to
yourself.
Back to it. Discuss. The word isn't something new here. This one has a lower tone to it. How interesting. A more contemplative tone. Well, I know, but we have to be the ones to well, go tell him.
Ron, we want you to be part of the class. You need to come and be part of the class. All right? Because otherwise, if you're going to go on to practitioner, you're not going to know any of this stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, so come sit down. Plus, we want you. He said yes. I said, otherwise, when you get to practitioner, you're not going to know any of this stuff.
All right. Oh, let's ding.
Can you make room for Ron?
Let's put a chair over here.
Here, just get.
No, just over here. Yeah, that's a good spot. We're putting Ron in here because we don't want Ron sitting out in the.
I don't know, because he thinks we don't want him. I don't know.
He doesn't think that. That's
All
right.
So, because he's always taking care of all of us.
Yeah, he's our guard at the door.
He's our guardian.
And everything. Okay,
we love
so.
him for that. Okay. Who has something to say?
Well, to me, this is basically, God is always saying yes. God is this creative flow. And it needs us, it needs everything that in creation to give it expression. It's always saying, yes. And I keep getting this image of a hologram. And you could have a hologram, and you see it in 3 dimensions. You cut that up into 1 million pieces. Each piece will have the complete hologram in it.
Uh-huh. Oh, that is a very good analogy and a metaphor and a visual.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's what God is. That's what we are to God.
Any thoughts on this idea of the word or the thought of God eternally initiating the creative process?
The word is like the purpose for me. What is it that I'm trying to get from the universe? What is it that I want to express or declare or demand? And then that initiates the creative process in terms of going through and putting it in, putting it out there, and then getting it into law, as law, and then manifesting it. So to me, it's like I have to understand what is it exactly that I want, the clarity. To me, that's the word. At least that's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're asking for, is the way that you individualize it right here. Rita?
It's also, yeah, God creates by contemplating. So whatever you're contemplating and directing is your word. Yeah.
For me, again, I go back to the sun image and God, all that is in resting state, having a clear intent to create, forming a ray, and that's the let there be, like in the Bible, let there be, very clear. What is it I'm saying? Whoa, let there be her, and let there be him, and let there be trees. It's a very clear intention that goes forth as a vibration and then attracts to it the God substance to actually create the form. Oh, it attracts to it the God substance that ends up as the tip of the flame or the form.
So I have a question about this. Why would this be important? Diane's one. Why is this important? No. Why is this important?
The word initiates the creative process, period. I think if you cut out all those other words, you would have core concept 3. Whether it's the universe or spirit or God creating all that is, it's the word that does it. And in our own lives, the way it works is by our thinking. So my human thought is creative in my life. If I don't speak the word, it doesn't happen. Or it happens in a muddy way because I'm not giving clear direction. As soon as I speak the word, it starts in motion.
And it does.
Charles?
Yeah.
You'll have what she's having. You'll have what she's having. So the question still goes, why is any of these concepts, these core, how is this going to serve us? Why is it even important for us to even be discussing all these words and all the word? And
so we can create what we want in life.
Right. So we become conscious beings,
just want to make sure that we're just going beyond
so
theories
we know
and words.
that we have all this power that we may not have known before this,
That's what I was going to say. I'm so aware in myself of all the sticky stuff, the programs that are there, some that I've formed, most that came from my ancestors and being a human being. And if I can consciously remember, and then use my word, if I really know this and I really believe this, it's like the solvent that can dissolve all the junk.
Great. That's great.
I think it's really important just because it has to be a way of life. And so, I mean, the repetition, everything, the only way it's going to stick is, as Joe Dispenza says, completely breaking yourself down and recreating using this process. But it's got to be constant, just repeat, repeat, repeat. So way of life is kind of how I see it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because our teaching is really based upon science of mind and spirit is a way of life. And also something that came to me about this whole idea of God and why is it so important and all of that. How interesting about, because one of my beliefs, because it's been proven over and over again through myself, through clients, through sessions, whatever, through living, is that what keeps us from the I am God is that the deserving factor. Because once we deserve it, know that we deserve it. But how funny that we have separated it into about, do I deserve this? I want it, I am deserving. In reality, what's so funny is that once we get this, what you were just talking about, that wouldn't even be a thought process. Because how could you deserve something that you already are? In other words, if I am God and believe it, I mean, it sounds great on a Sunday afternoon, but I'm just saying, when you really, as Adara was saying, and everyone's saying, once we take it in and really believe it, half of our vocabulary will be gone. We will actually probably go and we'll probably stand up here and we'll go, shall we go pizza? Yeah, no. I mean, but it is, and that's why I'm saying that even the deserving part will be. That's why it's so important, because once we realize who we are, then all of that is secondary.
I think it's clear that it's our nature as God expressing
that we either use our word consciously or we use it unconsciously. And if we're unconscious to the power that we have, then our life just stumbles along because we're not making choices. We're confused. But when we really get it that we consciously choose the word that we want to set out, that's the difference.
Thank you, Roseanne. Yeah, we are going to have one right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this out. This is the next exercise. And
well, maybe we'll put it on their seat when they're gone.
yeah, you know what? We'll put it on your seat when you're gone. Let's take our break right now. All right. Okay.
You all know where the keys are? You all know where the keys are to the bathroom?